Hello, my name is Jake Scott and I am one of the co-founders of the Ubisunt Group. The Ubisunt Group is dedicated to preserving the classics of English literature and will host monthly discussion groups on a specific poet or group of poets we believe are essential to the English tradition. In these monthly groups, we will discuss the poets' lives and backgrounds as well as their works before examining in a close reading a chosen poem of that poet. In this short video, I hope to provide an example of a close reading focusing on cadence and imagery. So when poets write verse, unless they're using free verse, they typically write in a style that combines meters and feet. Meters are the rhythm that verse flows in, and feet are the number of stressed syllables in that verse. In terms of meter, the most commonly used is iambic, in which there are two syllables, or 1 foot, that proceeds unstressed to stressed. There is also trochaic, which is stressed to unstressed, anapestic, which is unstressed to stressed, dactylic, which is stressed to unstressed, spondaic, which is stressed, and pyrrhic, which is unstressed. When we say feet, meanwhile, we mean the number of typically stressed syllables corresponding to that meter. The most famous in English verse, due almost entirely to Shakespeare, is the iambic pentameter, which is 5 stressed syllables, hence pentameter. But there is also a single stressed syllable, which is monometer or monometer, 2, which is duometer or duometer, 3, which is trimeter, 4, which is tetrameter, 6, sestimeter, 7, septimeter, 8, octameter, and so on. Cadence in the combination of meter and verse is usually used to build a rhythm which in turn carries or reflects the story being told in the poem. Take for instance Auden's As I Walked Out One Evening, which begins, "As I walked out one evening, walking down Bristol Street. The crowds upon the pavement were fields of harvest wheat." You might notice that this is not strictly iambic and in fact plays with trochaic meter in places, and actually in a couple of verses ends with an unstressed syllable, which is what we call a feminine ending. However, the next line, the next verse in the next stanza begins, "And down by the brimming river I heard a lover sing." In many ways, the flow of a combination of iambic and trochaic is used to mimic both the wandering of the person walking and also the flowing of the river itself. Fundamentally, the choice of stress is the poet's, but good poets place the stress where it is most effective in order to emphasize the point being made. Take another stanza from the same poem. "The glacier knocks in the cupboard, the desert sighs in the bed, and the crack in the teacup opens a lane to the land of the dead." You can see that the last two verses are not iambic and in fact reverse the cadence. The line, "and a crack in the teacup opens," is technically 2 anapestics followed by an iambic and then followed again by a weak feminine ending as an open unstressed syllable. However, the final verse, "a lane to the land of the dead," begins with an iamb followed by 2 anapests and again finishes strongly. So in many ways it reverses the cadence and again is used to emphasize this wandering / constant flowing. So that's in terms of cadence. But if we spend a little more time on the stanza quoted above, we will also see that Auden uses a number of images in a specific way as metaphor. But there is also allegory, which is much more direct. In this stanza, however, Auden's imagery is used for a clear purpose. Take the first verse of this stanza. "The glacier knocks in the cupboard." There are 3 key words in this verse, which I will run through in reverse order. First, the word cupboard immediately evokes a domestic setting, perhaps more accurately a bedroom, which is further stressed given the following verse's mention of the word bed. In turn, the concept of a knocking from inside a cupboard is a particularly sinister one that is intended to unnerve the reader. But why a glacier? Well, the metaphor here is one of slowness, but an inevitable slowness. The glaciers move at a very slow pace. but they do so according to their own nature, and so, climate change aside, we see Auden constructing in this verse a sense of inevitability. Moreover, the fusion of a domestic item, cupboard, and a frozen chunk of ice, glacier, implies a frigidity that in turn evokes a domestic setting devoid of warmth and therefore love. The following verse does much the same, only somewhat reversing the climatic analogy. Why is a desert sighing in the bed? Put simply, a dry bed is one neither slept in nor used sexually. The domestic setting is constantly contraposed to a lack of desire and love. I'll save the rest of the verse for our week on Auden, but hopefully this is illuminating in the sort of work we do in close textual analysis. As I say, we will spend more time in each session on the close readings that we choose, but I hope that this short video will help to explain why we complete close readings and show the value of this reading to enhancing our understanding and, consequently, our enjoyment of the poet and the poem's work. Thank you very much for your time. I look forward to seeing you all in our meetings.